Hi, this is Jay. Welcome to Bright Ideas.
History of play, Renaissance perspective, French influences, British influences, Puritan legacy, colonial times, 19th century, and 20th century. Renaissance perspective. Negative attitudes about children began to surface. Common practice to place children in the custody of a nurse or succession of nurses. Children are subject of jokes and were placed in the category of fools. Children were put to work as soon as was reasonable because idleness is considered as sinful. Only elite families that children were sent to school. They will send or they will spend long hours in the care of unfeeling teachers. No distinction between the world of children and that of adults, so they play the same games and songs. The only chants that truly belonged to the world of childhood were lullabies. In southern Germany, the toy manufacturing industry was born, but these toys are also for adults. The children were not even allowed to touch them. Next is the French influences, characterized as one of the acceptance. Complete record of children's play is in the diary of John Hereward, the physician who attended King Louis VIII. Louis had windmills, hobby horses, and toys. At age 17, the future king was able to play the violin and sing at the same time. As a toddler, he played ball. At age 2, he had a drum and becoming a skillful dancer. At age 4, he played cards and shoot with bow and arrow. And at age 6, he played chess and parlor games. There was no concept of childhood innocence, and there was little separation between work and play. Next one is British influence. The religious influence most responsible for the devaluation of play in England was the rise of Protestantism. That's why play was viewed as the opposite of work and so was both sinful and irresponsible. Locke was representative of the 17th century thinking in his belief that each child is unique and valuable. A central assumption of Locke's theory was that the human organism is empty at birth or tabula rasa. Although he emphasized the value of firm direction for children, Locke's views on children or child rearing and education were actually humane. He advocated gentle and respectful approaches to parenting. But in this influence, work and discipline were seen paths to eternal salvation, while play was at best a distraction, at worst a sin against God. Then we have the Puritan legacy. Puritan views childhood as exemplified in the writings of John Locke were considerably more humane and enlightened. The Puritans were reformers who tend to be future-oriented people, and children were highly valued as representing the hope of the future. They believed that children need a considerable amount of discipline and instruction if they were to live orderly and responsible lives. The child was thought to be ignorant and sinful, but capable of being enlightened. The Puritans were the first Americans to publish books especially intended for children. Play was discouraged, but it was not despised or seen as evil. Next, we have the colonial times. Parents were genuinely interested in the children, rejoiced at birth, played with them, gave them presents, and wrote letters to them. On the other hand, however, early American parents engaged in many activities that distanced them from their children. Infant abandonment was common, or some children were put out. The rejection of children in colonial times or colonial America also took another form, the complete submission of the child to shape children strongly, known as infanticide by smothering. 19th century. The British emphasis on discipline, hard work, and moral rectitude was definitely reflected, although to a lesser degree than in the mother country. Parents were described as more relaxed, frivolous, and fun-loving. In the mid-19th century, the parents exerted considerable psychological rather than physical control over their children. That is, the emphasis was on strong parental authority with little empathy, repression of personal feelings, and the encouragement of practicing self control motivated by feelings of guilt. And finally, we have the 20th century. There were efforts to lessen the repressive internal controls that had previously been fostered in children, with a corresponding increase in willingness to let children and adults, for that matter, express their feelings openly. There was also a greater parental interest in understanding the people or the perspectives and feelings of their children. This was the era in which the child study movement began to flourish, a movement characterized by efforts to develop a genuine science of child development. This was the appearance between 1910 and 1920 of the theory of behaviorism.